What's going on, everybody? Infamous Dr. Davis. Sorry you guys are going to hear something a little weird. I just had to move the microphone. What we got going on today is a live commentary, a little more casual, a little more relaxed. Just because, I still have not had the time to sit down and edit some footage. Finals were going on, semester's ending. I'm still working, of course. I'm a working man. Obviously, the holidays and the craziness that comes with Christmas and shopping and presents and celebration and family and, my girlfriend's in town, of course. But one thing I have still been doing is playing Dark Souls. So this is my off-camera playthrough that I did show you guys in the Shadow Play test, the Shadow Play demo, which I don't think went very well. I don't think I'll be using Shadow anytime soon until I get a little more well-versed in it. This is OBS we're recording with. So what we have going on right now is this is actually a new game plus. From the time that you guys saw the Shadow test, I think I had maybe a few bosses left. I had, I think at that point, I think I only had to fight Gwendolyn, and I had to fight, oh gosh, I can't remember. Gwendolyn, I know I had to fight Gwendolyn. I know I had to fight, I think I had beat Demon, a Fire Sage Demon. But anyways, this is a new game plus. We have, of course, I had Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, to fight. Oh, that's another person I had to fight, is Seath the Scaleless. I had to fight Gravelord Nito, and I also had to fight the Bed of Chaos. Of course, I had already beaten, actually, it was all 4 of the Lord's Souls that I had not fought on that last playthrough. I had to fight the 4 Kings, the 4 Kings, Seath, all the lords. I can't think of them right now, even though I just named them. But I'm gonna show you guys just some cool stuff. I'm apologize. I didn't think it didn't occur to me to even record New Game Plus live, or that this would even be like a cool kind of video to make, until I was after, until I had finished the Asylum, the Undead Asylum. At that point, I was back in the Undead Asylum right after I ended the game after fighting Gwyn. So I was just kind of running around, seeing what's going on, just fighting people and feeling super OP'd. I defeated the Asylum Demon in one hit, just the lunging attack with the Greatsword of Artorias, of course. On top of that, it's maxed out, and I also have a maxed out Quelaag's Fury Sword. So, we have, also a maxed out Black Knight Shield as well. So, we have a pretty BA character right here. This was my setup, actually, to fight Lord Gwyn. I did use 2 swords. I used Quelaag's Fury Sword mainly when I was, I'll show you exactly how I fought him. I stood around him and waited for him to attack, of course, lowered my shield in between attacks because he will nail your stamina. Once he got like a break in his attacks, I do a quick little Fury Sword attack. Albeit Gwyn being the Lord of Cinder and the former Lord of Sunlight, he is weak to fire. That is one of his weaknesses, so you can fight him with fire and it will do extra damage. And being that the Quelaag's Fury Sword does elemental damage, it was a perfect fit because it attacks very quickly, takes off a little bit of damage, a nice size of damage, and then you can go right back into shielding, obviously. I also did have the Greatsword of Artorias for whenever Gwyn did his grab attack. You can kind of predict when he does it. I would lock onto him, jump backwards, and then I would hit him just like that, and then shield again, switch back to our Quelaag's Fury Sword and shield again. All things aside, whoa, that actually took a lot of damage out of me. I wonder if these guys do more damage now because we're New Game Plus. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna guess that they do because these guys are taking out a lot of damage. And that fire took out a heck of a lot of damage. I probably don't need whatever he has. But I did think it would be a cool idea to simply just show you guys me fighting the Taurus Demon. And I'm probably going to come out with a video series of me just doing New Game Plus. I'll probably contemplate for a little bit whether I want to do it now with this character or if I want to wait until we finish our playthrough on camera. But I think that would be cool to just do a bunch of New Game Plus videos where, you know, after the fact, we go through and see what we missed in Dark Souls. I can show you guys exactly where particular weapons are, how to make particular weapons, like Quelaag's Fury Sword, of course. Not that you guys couldn't look it up, but I mean, just to see it be done in real time. I mean, there's nothing really like that. So without further ado, we'll get right into the point of this video. I'm going to skip all the treasure just because, you know, this is... there's the Hellkite Drake. We're going to go fight his ass too. Just because the main point of this video is really just to kind of obviously see, you know, what New Game Plus is like in its initial phases. I think that attack right there is probably the coolest. The running, and these guys do a hell of a lot more damage in New Game Plus. But even so, I mean, you're still just incredibly OP'd. It's insane. Just for safety precautions, in fact, I'm gonna go kill the sniper first. He could potentially take me out. Oh. Yeah, these guys are doing a hell of a lot more damage than they typically do. But I think it's very, very cool. Yeah, see, that normally would, you know, a great sword of Artorias will take somebody out. There's not too many things in regular game that I could hit with that attack, especially that I could hit with the great sword of Artorias, and they live to tell about it. There's not too many things that can do that. So this is going to be very interesting as well. I didn't know that. Again, we're going to leave the treasure for now. Run up here and rest at this bonfire. It's strange because I'm so used to being so far in the game that I have all the shortcuts, like this ladder, the shortcut to the Undead Parish from the Firelink Shrine. It's all just very interesting to be pretty much right back where you started. Nonetheless, it's still a hell of a lot of fun because it does bring back... I mean, it pretty much takes you back to day one when, you know, you were pretty much learning this game and you didn't know a lot about it. And I remember being stuck in this area for just, you know, a hell of a long time. A lot longer than I needed to be in this area. Oh, we're going to leave that. A lot longer than I needed to be, simply because I was just, you know, I didn't know too much about the game at that point. So I got killed in this room very often, and that was like the hard portion for me. I got killed going up these stairs. This right here is this little ring. I don't know the formal name for it, but I do know that certain miracles or spells will be stronger within approximation of this ring. Just kind of a little fun fact for you guys. I always wondered when I initially started playing this game why it was here. That's what it's there for. And I've never actually seen it disappear either. That was very cool. I remember running up here and having a heck of a lot of problems with this area as well. You know, these guys throwing fire at me, throwing fire bombs down at me, they would be a hell of a big problem. You know, just this entire area kind of made me realize how difficult a game Dark Souls was, you know, especially for someone who had never played a game such as Dark Souls. You know, I had never played Demon Souls. I had never played, let's see, I had never played, you know, Bloodborne prior to this or anything like that. I had never played a Souls game. Well, I do scratch that. I played Kingsfield on the PlayStation, I believe it was the PlayStation 1 that game came out on. One of my favorite games, I played Siphon Filter and Kingsfield. Those are a couple of my favorite games. Kingsfield was developed by From Software. Basically the spiritual predecessor to Demon Souls, which was the spiritual predecessor to Dark Souls. And this guy, oh, I used to just skip over him because I could not even fight him. Whatever. you know, playing the game for as long as you do, once you finish an entire playthrough, you kind of become an expert on, you know, parring those guys. And if you don't, you're going to have a hell of a lot of trouble. So again, we'll leave this treasure. But that was one of my favorite pickups in the game, honestly. I'm going to guess this guy died by that night. I don't know what he was doing. Alright, we're going to run up here and go fight the Taurus demon. Oh, I forgot about that. Totally forgot about that. Nope, you get no Estus. No Estus for you. Try humanity. I'm not sure if there's a spawn in this area. I actually didn't start summoning until about the Darkroot Garden. Despair ahead. Try parring. You wouldn't want to parry in that fight down there. I won't show you guys quite yet. I don't know if there's a summon in this area for Taurus Demon. There may or may not be. However, I started summoning... Once you get to the Darkroot Garden, my first summon was Beatrice, actually, and that's and I typically use a lot of Trek, of course, against the gargoyles, and I also used Solaire quite a lot. All right, just to take these guys out quickly. Try death. This is probably one of my favorite views in the game as well. I'll stop right here just for a second. You get to see a very holistic view of the Undead Burg. That's that platform down there is where the Howls will throw firebombs down at you. The wooden platform that seems like it's at the same level, just to the right of it, is actually the room that leads to the second bonfire, fourth bonfire in the game, second bonfire in Lordran. Spectacular view. Just holistically of the Undead Burg. It's an interesting little house down there. I'm not quite sure or certain if we've ever explored that, just because, you know, we actually haven't, because we wouldn't have been able to get into that area. Because if I'm looking at this correctly, this bridge is where the Hellkite Drake should be, up top there. And then just out there you'll see a tiny little platform where those two little doorways are, and that's the Undead Parish. And I can't think of anything that leads to that little house, so no, we've never explored that little house. Makes me curious, though. And then, of course, you look this way, and what could you say except praise the sun? Time to fight the Taurus Demon. Another thing I wonder is if you can walk back through the light. You cannot. You are trapped. I do not use a shield when I fight the Taurus Demon, just because we're not going to do too much blocking. I usually just like to dodge his attacks. See if we can get a light enough build here to actually fast roll. That works out perfectly. Alright, beautiful. So we should be able to defeat him in a couple hits. Man, the Taurus Demon was always a fun demon to fight. The Taurus Demon, his attacks are very predictable. So as long as you can, they're very predictable and very slow. So as long as you can fast roll, you can get out of the way of all his attacks. I got a little overzealous there, so that's the only hit that he got on me. But he had a sliver of health left, so I just wanted to kill him. Perfect. That was cool. Very interesting experience fighting the Taurus demon. After the fact, obviously. Now, something that I want you to take note of is if we look over here, we see the bridge that the Hellkite Drake should be on. He should be perched up right there on that battlement. And we don't see him. But we walk through here, and oh, you know what? This is after the fact, obviously. Actually, once we get him to come down and we get him to perch up there, you actually will be able to see him through these windows, and normally you will not be able to see him if you walk through this doorway. Just an interesting little tidbit for you guys. This is just some humanity that we could, of course, pick up. Got a message from a player online, imminent item. It's weird how you can fast roll with being so heavy. I have black iron legs on, which are, I didn't know they were +3 actually, but they are some of the heaviest set of leggings in the game. I would actually venture to say my heaviest, with the exception of Havel's. His armor is about the heaviest in the game. But yeah, black iron leggings, heaviest leggings, with the exception of Havel's armor. And yet, and even our sword here is the Great Sword of Artorias. It's 10 weight units. Yeah, it's insane that you have this heavy stuff on, and later in the game, after just upgrading a few times, you can fast roll even with all this heavy stuff on. And down here we have the Faithful Solaire, which I will tell you guys something about in just a second in regards to my playthrough, but we'll get the Drake to come out. And yes, if you stand in that doorway that I was just standing in, you will get lit up by the Drake. Solaire actually is probably the most benevolent character in the game right now. In this game. And he continues to be up until the point where we get later on in the game, after beating the boss just before the second Bell of Awakening. You know, Solaire is probably one of the most benevolent characters, and I actually ended up killing him, which was a bad decision on my part. I really could have used his help with a couple bosses later on in the game.
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time.
We'll see if he has a second dialogue here.
Oh, hello there. I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent.
It's interesting. Solaire is such an interesting character because there's a ton of lore on, you know, his relationship to Lord Gwyn and being a sunlight warrior. Clearly he is, if you look at his shirt. We also have Solaire's shield as well. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy Solaire. I didn't mean to kill you, Solaire, I promise. Forgot which ones are his gauntlets. These ones. And of course the leggings, iron leggings. So I am basically another Solaire. I didn't realize how tall Solaire is actually. Now that we have his armor on and we're standing next to him. If we look at the shirt, obviously it has a sun on it. But if you also look at Solaire's shield, it has the same sun, which clearly would indicate that Solaire is a Sunlight Warrior. But there's been a lot of speculation that Solaire is actually a Sunlight Warrior, or not a Sunlight Warrior, but the Firstborn. There's a lot of allure, and even one of the rings you pick up, there is trying to think of the Sun's Firstborn. So, Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. And I'll read the description. Lord Gwyn's firstborn, who inherited the sunlight, who once wore this ancient ring, boosted the strength of miracles. Lord Gwyn's firstborn was a god of war, but his foolishness led to a loss of the Annals and rescinding of his deific status. Today, even his name is not known. So we don't know who the son of the firstborn or the firstborn son is. Simply because we don't know his name, and there's been a lot of speculation that it's been Solaire, and we could discern son of the firstborn a couple different ways. Solaire saying, I'm looking for my very own son, and then people also discern it as actually being a descendant of the firstborn, and people call the firstborn Gwyn. Well, some people who would discern it in that manner. So it's really interesting about Solaire, because I actually, in my opinion, do think that he is the firstborn of Gwyn, just because of his dialogue and what he said throughout the game. Guys, I'm going to leave this to the end of the video here. In the next video of the New Game Plus, we will probably go fight that Hellkite Drake. For now on, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this a lot. Peace.